but also the paramedical courses shared by Dr. Preetham sir also has anatomy as a part of it, and it would be really interesting to know more aspects of it. So there are various types of anatomy. Microscopic and gross anatomy are broadly classifying the two main types. Microscopic means you can imagine by listening to the word microscopic, it is basically very detailed, even beginning from the cellular level. And gross anatomy is what is visible to the eyes, such as what is visible from the surface, what is visible in different regions of the body, and the systemic anatomy, the various organ systems. So, I will in the upcoming slides, I will try to explain what is system, organ system. Let's go ahead. So, surface anatomy is what we can see by our eyes. Regional anatomy specifies the organ separated from the body. For example, the arm, the lower leg, the lower limb or lower extremity. And systemic anatomy is basically many organs combined together form an organ system. So we have 11 organ systems in our body. So I'll elaborate more on what organ systems is. Let's go ahead. Okay. The first line says anatomy, and the structure of an organ is designed to fulfill its function. So if we talk about bone as an organ, the structure of a bone is very hard, right? We see in X-rays, and we know that we have many bones. We have bones in our legs, we have bones in our hands, even our skull and on our face we have various bones. So the structure of a bone is very hard, right? The position, the shape of it is very peculiar. Why is it? Because its function is to protect us, right? That's why the different structures or different shapes of the organs are designed to serve different function. Let's go ahead. So yes, this is a very important slide, and I would like to elaborate more on this. Now we have studied since I think sixth or seventh standard in school. We start basic in our subject of science. We start learning about what are cells or what are chemicals. Correct. So at the very beginning, we learn about what is an atom. Atoms are small particles, to the in the size of micro to nanometers. So when various atoms combine, they form a molecule of water, a molecule of carbohydrate. There are various examples of molecules, right? Then when many molecules combine, they form a macromolecule. Then combination of macromolecules and organelles is a cell. Now, what you might not have heard about the word organelle, but you might have heard about the word cell. Right? In Marathi, we say peshi. There might be many Marathi viewers for us, so I would elaborate for them. Cell म्हणजे मराठीत पेशी. तो और हिंदी में भी सेल को पेशी बोलते हैं. So you might आप सभी ने सेल के बारे में सुना होगा. All of you might have already heard about cell, but what is an organelle? So as we talk about the whole body, we have different parts, right? Hand is our body part, is our body part, head is our body part. Similarly, a cell has many small parts inside it, and these are the basically organelles. So when many organelles combine, they form a single cell. So imagine the cell being a so small structure, it is made up of still very smaller parts. So in this way, when many cells combine, they form a particular type of tissue. And when a lot of amount of tissue fuses together, they form an organ. For example, here we see that the stomach as an organ has been formed. And when many organs combine, they form an organ system. So likewise, we have 11 organ systems in our body. So can you see in this organ system, there is liver as an organ, stomach as an organ, intestines, small and large intestine, the pancreas. So all these different organs have combined to form an organ system called the digestive organ. The function of this organ system is to digest the food and excrete the waste material. So we have 11 organ systems like this, and all these different organ systems uh, provide different functions. And when these many organ systems are combined, we form the entire human organism. So I think I have elaborated well enough to give you a basic idea about how the levels of organization work for us. When many atoms combine, they form molecules. Many molecules and organelles combine to form cell. Cells combine to form tissue. Tissues combine to form organ, and various organs combining to form organ system, and 11 organ systems combining to form the entire human body. So let's go ahead. So this is basically the elaboration of what I have said. We can go ahead. This is very molecular level, and I don't think it is very important to you, but this is just how they have shown that a compound is made up of different chemicals combined form carbohydrate. For example, on the right side, can you see that the molecular composition of the human body, it is 67% water, 3% is carbohydrates, 10% is fats, and 20% is proteins. So this is the basic, the lowest level of organization in the human body. And on the left side, these are the various elements in different proportions in the human body. Let's go ahead. Yeah, so can you see, we just a few minutes ago we saw there are different levels of organization, and atoms and molecules and macromolecules combine to form organelles, and organelles form a cell, correct? So this is a single cell. Can you see the cell has very different parts? I would like to show you different organelles, but you can imagine that this structure is a cell, and it has very smaller parts called organelles. You might have heard about mitochondria, you might have heard about nucleus, Golgi apparatus, cytoplasm. So these are the different organelles forming a single cell. Let's go ahead. So many cells have combined and they have formed a tissue. Let's go ahead. Still further. So as I have mentioned earlier that there are 11 organ systems, correct? And each organ system has different number of organs. It is not necessary that all the 11 organ systems will have same number of organs. Different organ systems will have different number of organs. Few will have more, few will have less. But the different organ system have different functions, and when all these organ systems work together, they will form the human body, and all the functions of the human body together, when they will be performed, the function of human organism will be completed. Let's go ahead. Yeah, so these are the different 11 organ systems. You might have heard of 4 or 5 in your school, or maybe 11, 12th standard if you have completed, but this is very elaborate but very short definition. So 11 organ systems, the first one is integumentary. Integumentary is basically our skin. Skin helps us to give protection from environment. Whenever we go to hot environment, we start sweating. It is to reduce the body temperature. Also, people who are fat, who have more chubbiness around their stomach, or who have more fat deposition around their stomach, it is why it is the form of energy storage. So, skin energy storage. You will be surprised to know, but you might have known it today. That subcutaneous tissue, also known as fat, is a type of energy storage. So, skin is the part of integumentary system. The integumentary system also includes nails, hair, and various other structures, sweat glands. But basically, you can remember integumentary system has skin and it provides us protection from the environment. Then is the skeletal system, second organ system. Skeletal system, I think you can guess from its name. Skeletal means skeleton, and skeleton means many number of bones. So skeletal system has many bones. These are hard in structure. So obviously they form cavities or they form rooms inside our body. So the soft organs stay inside them and stay protected. And skeletal system also has bone marrow. You might have heard about it. And bone marrow has the property of producing the blood. So the blood in our body is all basically produced in bone of our body, that is in the skeletal system. So it provides the support, it protects us, it helps in uh, mineral storage, calcium. If we don't eat enough calcium, then our bones become brittle, bones become weak. So basically, mineral storage is also done by skeletal system and the blood formation also. Then is the muscular system. You might have seen in gym on posters, the bodybuilders, they have very heavily developed muscles. So the function of muscles which we can see is helping in movement, helping taking different postures. Locomotion is a scientific word for movement, and also heat production. If you go in a cold environment, you start shivering. This is because it is our body's response that the skeletal muscles, that is the muscles which are present above our bones, they start moving on their own. Why this happens? This happens because they produce heat and make our body warmer. That's why we start shivering. So these are the three organs system which we help us in making posture. They help us in heat production. So these are the three organ systems which we discussed. Let's go ahead. Then comes the nervous system. Nervous system is actually the brain and our spinal cord. These two structures everybody knows, but the nervous system also includes nerves. So how does brain and spinal cord control everything we do, even everything we say, everything we eat, the entire movement of the body, the entire digestion, all the process of the body is controlled by brain, right? So the brain sends small wires to different parts of the body, and these wire-like structures are nerves. So they help us in taking senses. If anyone touches your skin, you come to know that something has been touched to your skin. It is called tactile stimulus. So that comes to know to our brain with the help of the wire-like structure that we call the nerves, right? So nervous system helps us in making responses to stimuli and also coordination of different organ systems with each other. Endocrine system is basically few organs which produce hormones. Diabetes, you might have heard diabetes. So there is an organ called as pancreas whose function is producing insulin. So these are different organs in various locations of the body which produce hormones and help in maintenance of our body homeostasis. And then is the cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular system, you might have, in layman's language, you might have heard cardio. Whenever we say cardio, if anyone of you goes to the gym, or if anyone might have heard of cardio, like people say that if you are fat, you need to lose weight. They say do cardio, do cardio. So what exactly is cardio? Cardio means your heart. And whenever you do exercise, your heart starts pumping and beating faster. That's why they say do cardio, make your heart work. It will pump faster. It will pump more blood. So that is why cardiovascular system means the heart and the blood vessels which are coming out of it. So what does cardiovascular system do? What does heart do? It is a basically a pump. It is not an electric motor pump, but it usually functions with the help of our brain. The brain sends signal to the heart pumps and sends blood to different parts of the cells. So whatever we eat, whatever the substances which are to be collected by the blood are taken by the blood vessels to different organs. So this is the function of cardiovascular system, that is transport of cells and dissolved materials to different parts of the bodies. It even transports gases. Let's go ahead. The next three systems are lymphatic, respiratory, and digestive. Lymphatic system has small organs called lymph nodes. It even includes spleen and thymus. But this will be very in depth for you. But you just have to know right now than fighting infection. Then respiratory system. Uh, Respiratory system is basically your nose, your pharynx, your larynx. That is windpipe. You might not understand pharynx, larynx, but the windpipe which goes to your lungs. So respiratory system, what does it help? What does it help us in doing? It helps us in breathing. It helps us in exchanging oxygen, carbon dioxide, and waste materials in our breath to the environment. So exchange of gases with the help of respiratory system is done, and digestive system is very easy. It helps us in eating food, digesting food, and removing out the waste material. Let's go ahead. Last two systems are urinary and reproductive system. Urinary system also, it includes the bladder and urethra. So basically urine passage of urine from our bodies done with the help of it. It includes various organs which I will elaborate soon, but it helps us in excreting the waste substances with the help of water mixed within it. So the final product of urinary system is urine. And reproductive system, the basic function for which mankind has been developed is to propagate and pass our genetic material to the next generation. So reproductive system helps us in producing sex cells which fuse with the sex cells of the other gender and form a new organism. And the reproductive system also helps in producing hormones, various hormones, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. These are the different hormones, and the levels of these hormones are different in males and females. So this function is done by reproductive system. Let's go ahead. So these were the basic 11 organ systems. So you must be imagining that this guy has spoken so much about organ systems in so much less time. So we will be elaborating on each organ system now, and I will be showing you various diagrams. Let's go ahead. Still, let's go further, sir. Yeah. So first we will learn how to use terminologies in anatomy. Okay. Now let's take the perspective of sideways. You can see this woman on her left is left side, right is right side. So that is basically the most simplest terminology which you can use. The left side of her body is termed as left, the right side of the body is termed as right. So if you are a doctor or if you are a person, you will not take your right side or your left side. You will always take the patient's left hand and the patient's right hand. So this is the first basic terminology and the most easiest. Now, what is proximal and distal? Proximal means the parts of the body which are closer to the center of the body, right? So that such such things are called as proximal. So if you compare the shoulder and the finger of the left hand, as you can see, the shoulder is more closer to the center of the body, right, to the midline, and the fingers are away from the body. So we compare two things in proximal and distal. Proximal is closer to the body, distal is away from the body. Similarly, lateral and medial, it is in terms of not distance from the center of the body, but it is in comparison to the midline of the body, the line passing through the center, vertical line passing through the center. So the more the medial any organ, the more closer it is to the midline, the farther the organ from our midline, the more lateral it will be. So I think I have on the diagram, I have explained to you what is proximal. Proximal means the closer organ, distal means farther, medial means closer, lateral means away from the body. And then on the right side, as you can you see anterior and posterior? So posterior can also be said as dorsal. Why do we say dorsal? Because the back region is also called in anatomy as dorsum. All the terminologies in anatomy are derived from Latin language, because in Latin America these sciences developed much earlier. So the animals, the reptiles, which they walk on the ground, their back is facing the sun, right? So their dorsum in Latin language means back. So if we were also reptiles and we were also crawling on the ground, our back would be facing towards the sun, right? So the back region is called as dorsum, and dorsum also called as posterior. And anterior means all the structures which are present on the front. So anterior also called as ventral. This is clear, I think. And then the last terminology is cranial and caudal. Cranium means brain. All right. So cranial and caudal is also a comparative terminology. The organs which are closer to the upper to the brain side is called cranially, and the organ which are present downside below side are present caudally. Now, for example, I will give you an example. If we compare the hand and the legs, what is present more cranially? What is closer to the brain? So our hands are closer to the brain, right? So we will say hands are cranial as compared to the legs, and legs are caudal as compared to the hands, correct? And last terminology, which is in the right and the left, right upper and the lower corner of the screen, as you can see, is superior and inferior. Superior means above and inferior means down. So these are the basic terminologies which we use in anatomy. Because of these, it is easier for us to describe various organs, organ systems, and even the diseases which take place in the human body. So let's go ahead. And these are the different planes. There are three planes, as you can see. What is basically a plane? You might have, not in terms of layman's language, but in mathematical or geometrical language, you might have heard of a plane, right? There are different planes: vertical plane, horizontal plane. Plane is a collection of many lines in the same direction, right? So you can see the plane passing through the center of the body from forwards to backwards, or from backwards to forward, is the sagittal plane. So if you cut the body in the sagittal plane, how can you see the body? You can see the body sideways, as the right hand side diagram shows. So sagittal plane is passing through the center of the body from front to back. Then what is the frontal plane? Frontal plane is the plane which also passes the center of the body, but from sideways, from either left to right or right to left. So how can you see the body if you cut it from in the frontal plane? The left side upper diagram shows how your body will be visible if you cut the body in frontal plane. And the last plane, as you can see, the horizontal one is the transverse plane. It cuts your body from the midline, but it is horizontal in position, right? So this is the transverse plane. So sagittal and frontal are vertical planes, and transverse plane is horizontal in direction. Let's go ahead. Now I'll try to show you different cavities. All right. Now you might be or you might not be knowing, cavity is basically a small closed structure and which has walls around it, right? Now you can, in day-to-day life, we can imagine cavities like, imagine a water bottle. If it is empty, there is an empty space, right? And it has walls around it, the plastic bottle itself. And when you close the lid of the bottle, it becomes a closed cavity. So cavity is basically a compartment, a structure which has walls around it, and it is closed or either open from one side. So these are the cavities. So the human body similarly has different cavities. As you can see, the cranial cavity in the region of the brain. Can you see it is termed as cranial cavity? Why? Because the brain is situated inside it. And the cranial cavity is formed by the bones of the head. The bones, which are hard in structure, they protect the brain from any damage. That's why we have the cranial cavity. Then just below the cranial cavity, when can you see the pink long structure? It is the spinal cavity. Why is it called the spinal cavity? Because it is a closed space and in which the spinal cord is settling. That's why it's called the spinal cavity. Similarly, for the lungs, we have thoracic cavity. For the heart, we have pericardial cavity. These terms would be difficult for you, but once you get used to with them, it will be better for you. And the lowermost in the center, in the stomach, is the abdominal cavity. So all the organs inside the abdominal cavity are the organs of the digestive system, and the below it is the pelvic cavity. pelvic cavity is for the organs of excretion and also the organs of reproduction. So this is very basic idea of the different body cavities present. Let's go ahead. So this is a repeat slide, as I advocate for repeat because I like to elaborate once again on it. As you can see, many atoms combine to form molecules and organelles. Many organelles came together to form cell. Cells came to form tissue. Tissues came to form organs, and many organs came together to form an organ system. And many organ systems came to form the entire human organism. So we studied the 11 organ systems previously, right? So various organ systems like that will come together to form the human organism, entire human body. Let's go ahead. This is a very in-depth diagram of the integumentary system. This you might have not ever in school or college. I told you that integumentary system is an example of an organ system, right? What is an organ system? Organ system is a collection of different organs. So can you see, imagine that your skin has been cut and it has been washed and it has been placed in the front of a microscope. So this is how your skin will look. Can you see the uppermost part, the epidermis? Can you see hair follicles coming from it? Below there are red and blue wire-like structures. Those are your blood vessels. Red ones carry oxygenated blood to the skin. Blue ones carry back the deoxygenated blood. The yellow ones are the wire-like structures called as the nerves. They will take different types of sensations. So many layers are kept one above the other. The epidermis, the dermis, the yellow color structure on the below part, the thick yellow layer is the subcutaneous fat. So integumentary system also has fat. So it is the storage function, like energy storage function. So these are the different layers of the integumentary system. Let's go ahead. The next organ system, this one is the skeletal system. You can see very nicely, if we had a black and white diagram of it, it would be the X-ray of the entire body. So we have removed all the organs and we have showed only the bones of the body. So basically, skeletal system is the collection of all the bones of the body, right? And you see the head has its own bones. It is called as skull. Then in the chest region, you have like 12 ribs on each side and the sternum in the front. And if you cut open the sternum and the ribs, there is a small cavity inside it, right? What did I say? What is a cavity? Cavity is a closed space. So the thoracic cavity, it is called as. Then can you see in the behind part there is a straight line of small structures kept each above each other. That is the vertebral column. Then even the hands has bones. So what is the function of skeletal system? As I told you before, it is hard in structure, right? So it protects. How does it protect us? By forming cavities. It forms the cranial cavity, it forms the spinal cavity, it forms the thoracic cavity, it forms the pelvic cavity. So these are the cavities, different small room-like structures with walls around them, and the walls are made by the bones, which are hard in structure. That's why the organs inside our different cavities are safe. So one of the functions of skeletal system is protection. The other function is movement, support, right? Without the bones, imagine if we had only the skin and the muscles inside of it. Where will the muscles be attached? The body will be like a jelly bean, right? It won't be a hard structure. It won't be able to support it. That's why the bones or the skeletal system also helps us in giving support and walking. Let's go ahead. So now imagine the bones being removed and only the muscles shown to you. This is how your body will look. The muscles are attached on the bones, correct? The bones are inside and the muscles are above it, and above the muscles is the skin. Now we are discussing about the muscular system. So obviously from the name you can guess it is about muscles. Here in the diagram we are shown only about the skeletal muscles. There are actually three types of muscles. voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles, and cardiac muscles. We don't have, unfortunately, the diagram for it, but I will try to explain to you shortly. Skeletal muscles are voluntary muscles. Now, imagine you're sitting in the lecture and someone comes and makes an announcement in the class and says, "We have a festival going on. We have a college fest going on. Who wants to volunteer? Who wants to participate?" So, what question does he ask? He asks, "Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to volunteer in this program? Do you want to volunteer as the captain of the team? Do you want to volunteer for doing some task?" So, you have your own will, right? So voluntary muscles are also under the control of our own will. That's why they are called as voluntary muscles. So all the skeletal muscles, that is the muscles attached to the skeletal system, that is the muscles attached to the bones. These are voluntary muscles, also called as skeletal muscles. Why? Because if you want to raise your hand above your head, is it because it is happening automatically, or is it because you are deciding to do it? It's because you are deciding to do it, right? So these are under your own voluntary control. That's why one first type of muscles is muscular muscles, skeletal muscles, I'm sorry, or voluntary muscles. The second type of muscles are smooth muscles, or they are also called as visceral muscles, but let's go with the term smooth muscles. Why would the muscles be called smooth? Because they are smooth in structure, but they are not visible to our naked eye, because those muscles are present inside our body. The the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, or the organs of the reproductive system, or the organs of the excretory system, all these organs, they are made up of smooth muscles. And also they are called as involuntary muscles. Why are smooth muscles also called as involuntary muscles? Because they are not under our control. If you want to digest the food, are you deciding on your own, okay, let me digest the food from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then I will not digest the food from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m.? No, you cannot decide it, right? They are not under your control. The brain sends information to such muscles. So involuntary muscles, also called as smooth muscles, are present inside the body and they are not in our control. And the third type of muscles are cardiac muscles. The cardiac muscles is also a type of involuntary muscles, because you don't have voluntary control over it. Why? Because cardiac muscles keeps beating on itself. If the heart stops beating, will you be able to survive? Will you be able to live? No, right? That's why cardiac muscles, which make up the walls of the heart which pumps the blood, is also a type of involuntary muscles. So basically we learned how many types of muscles? We learned three types of muscles. Skeletal muscles, which are attached to our bones and they are under our control, that's why they are also voluntary muscles. The next is smooth muscles. They are a type of involuntary muscles. Smooth muscles are present inside the organs of digestive, excretory, and other organ systems. They are not in our control. And the third type is the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are muscles of the heart. They keep on pumping the blood since the moment you're born until the moment you die. Right? The heart beats. Even if it skips a few beats for more than 2-3 minutes, you will die, right? That's why cardiac muscles and smooth muscles are not in our control. That's why they are involuntary, and the skeletal muscles, which are in our control, are voluntary. Let's go ahead. This was about the muscular system. Let's go ahead, sir. Yeah. So this is also another diagram for skeletal muscles. As you can see, there are different types of muscles. Now the endocrine system. I will not elaborate much on the endocrine system because the endocrine system has many organs, as you can see. But the basic function of endocrine system is producing hormones. And what do hormones do? Different hormones have different functions. So these are the different glands. I will explain to what the concept of gland. Okay. Gland, what is a gland? It is an organ which stores hormones inside it, and whenever the need for hormone is required, it sends it into the blood system. Okay, so the familiar glands you might have heard is thyroid gland. Maybe you might have heard this lady has thyroid problem, this person has hyperthyroidism, this person has low thyroid, this person has high thyroid. So what is thyroid? Thyroid is a gland which is present in our neck and it produces hormones. Okay, so similarly there are many hormone producing glands, and glands are organs which produce hormones. So there are many. For example, the brain itself has many glands inside it. The stomach has many glands inside it. The kidney has, the ovaries and the testes. The ovaries and testes are the female and male reproductive organs respectively. They also produce different types of hormones. Even the pancreas forms insulin. What is insulin? You might have heard insulin is in related to diabetes, right? So if we have very low insulin, we will get diabetes type 1 or type 2 depending on which type of damages to the pancreas. So these are the different organs which
ಹೌದು
produce
ನೋಡಿ
hormones.
ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ.
So different organs producing hormones form the endocrine system. Let's go ahead. Yeah. So the cardiovascular system. As you can see, we have already we have always drawn heart like a diamond shape, or as it is present on our playing cards. But that is now not how our heart looks. Heart is an organ which is made up of muscles, which I told you just now. What type of muscle? Cardiac muscle. Because in Latin, heart is also called as cordium or cardium, and the muscles present in heart are called as cardiac muscles. Are they in our control? No, they are not in our control. That's why the cardiac muscle is a type of involuntary muscle. Now, as you can see, there are different chambers of the heart. There are different chambers which receive deoxygenated blood or impure blood, and there are different chambers which receive oxygenated blood or pure blood. So different chambers of the heart pump the blood to different organs, and that is how our impure blood is converted to pure blood. I will explain to you how this happens. But cardiovascular system, as you can understand, cardio means heart and vascular means vessels, the blood vessels. So cardiovascular system forms the uh, is formed by the heart and the blood vessels. Let's go ahead. So this is an entire uh, entire cardiovascular system in single image. The red colored pipe-like structures, as you can see, these are arteries. There are two types of wires which come out from the heart. So I will use very basic layman's language because it should be understandable to all the audience. So I will use very basic language. So heart is present in the chest, as you can see, right? It is labeled on the left side, the heart, and it is giving many pipes. Correct? The red colored pipes are going to the entire body, as well as the blue colored pipes are going to all the parts of the body. Now I'll give two types of names to the two different colored pipes. The red pipes are called as arteries and the blue pipes are called as veins. Why do we have different names? Because the earlier scientists named it. But do they have different functions? Yes. The red colored pipes, which you can see, they are the ones which carry oxygenated blood, that is pure blood. All the cells of our body require oxygen to live, right? So these red colored pipes, they take oxygenated blood to different parts of the body. And the blue pipes, when they carry back the deoxygenated blood, that is the blood without oxygen, to the heart again. So what happens? The heart pumps blood. The red colored pipes, that is the arteries, they carry oxygenated blood, that is the blood carrying containing oxygen to different cells. What do the cells do? The cells take oxygen and they give back waste products and carbon dioxide. Now the blue colored pipes, they take back deoxygenated blood back and give it to the heart again. Now then you must be asking, sir, okay, we understood that red colored pipes take oxygenated and blue colored pipes take deoxygenated, but where does the purification process take place? Where is the deoxygenated blood converted to oxygenated? Where does it happen? It happens in the lungs. So what does the heart do? Whenever it receives the deoxygenated or the impure blood, it sends it to the lungs. Can you see on the right and left side there are two organs called as lungs? In Marathi, lungs are called as phupus, and in Hindi, fefde. Correct? So the heart sends the impure blood to the lungs. The lungs take oxygen into it and take back carbon dioxide from it, and then send the oxygenated blood back to the heart. So this is how the heart takes oxygenated blood from the lungs, sends it to different parts of the parts of the body, and takes back deoxygenated blood through the veins. This is how the cardiovascular system plays a role in providing nutrition to entire body. Let's go
ये
ahead.
सब चालू है अभी। आप बोलो एक्चुअली, ये बताते हैं।
This is the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system has different organs. I will not elaborate much on this because it will be very in depth, and you will learn about it when you join the course. But lymphatic system's basic function, it also has structures or vessels or pipes which carry lymph. As we know that arteries and veins carry blood to different parts. Similarly, lymphatic vessels or lymph vessels, can you see on the legs?
हाँ हाँ सर,
They have
वो
shown two
बायोप्सी का पहले
pipes,
हुआ करता था, ब्लैक बुक
right?
में।
The lymph vessels carry lymph or the fluid called as lymph inside it to different parts of the body. What does this lymph do? It has many immunity cells.
ओके,
So whenever any
ठीक
disease
है,
tries to enter
देख
our
लिया,
body, the
चलो
lymphatic cells or the lymph cells, they
ठीक है
attack
सर।
it. So
अरे
how does
चालू,
this
ठीक
happen?
है,
The body
चालू ही
recognizes that
11:30 बजे हुआ है।
which part
वो मनीष
requires
होटल में है ना अभी, वो
to be
क्वारंटाइन
attacked,
में है।
and the lymph vessels carry lymph to
तो
different
लोगों
parts
की
of the
सेम क्रम
body.
रखी है ना, तो कंपलसरी है ना, तो उसका वाई।
Hello, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead, sir. Yeah. So this is another organ showing lymph vessels. As you can see, it has many organs: the spleen, the thymus, the lymph nodes. So these are the different organs which produce the fluid called as lymph, and then the lymph is carried to different parts of the body using the lymph vessels. So this is how our immunity works. Let's go ahead. The next one is an interesting system called as the respiratory system. What do we do with the help of respiratory system? It is made up of different organs, because I basically told you guys that many organs combine together to form an organ system. So respiratory system is another example of an organ system. What does it have? It has many organs which work together in the same function and carry out the task. So we take oxygenated or pure air through our nose, then it goes down the different organs. The different organs are called as pharynx, larynx, the trachea, the bronchus, and through the bronchus the air enters the lungs. So what happens in the lungs? I told you some time ago that the deoxygenated or the impure blood coming to the lungs is made pure, is made oxygenated. How is it done? We take the oxygenated air via our nose and to the lungs, then the deoxygenated blood which came to our lungs, it gives the carbon dioxide to the air and takes oxygen from it, and then the oxygen is taken by the veins to the heart. So in this way, whenever we breathe pure air or whenever we breathe air, the oxygen is taken to our lungs. The lungs give the oxygen to the blood and take carbon dioxide from it. And whenever we exhale or whenever we breathe out, the carbon dioxide is left out. So the respiratory system, what is it basically doing? It is helping in purification of blood. How? By carrying oxygen to the blood and taking out carbon dioxide from the blood. So this is the respiratory system. Very basically, I have made you understand this. Uh, in depth, we will learn about in the course. Let's go ahead. The respiratory system. So this is another diagram of respiratory system. Can you see the nasal cavity? Nasal cavity. What is a cavity? I told you cavity is any closed space, right? So, and what is the nose? Nose, we know it is an organ through which we breathe air. So the cavity of the nose, that is the small closed structure formed by the nose, is called as nasal cavity. So from the nasal cavity, the air goes. First, it goes to the pipe-like structure called as pharynx. Then it goes below. There is also another pipe-like structure called as larynx. Then below the larynx, there is another hard pipe-like structure called as trachea. From the trachea, it goes to tube. The pipe divides into two because how many lungs do we have? We have two lungs, right lung and left lung, right? So the pipe divides, separates into two small pipes called as bronchi. Then that air is carried by the bronchi to the lungs. This is where the purification of blood takes place. So this is the respiratory system. Different organs combine together to form the respiratory system. Digestive system, I think everybody knows about it. It helps us in eating food. It helps us in digesting food. I think we should take the next diagram for digestive system. That will be better. Yeah, I can show you different organs, right? Of through the lips, when we open the lips, we have our mouth. There we have our teeth. In our teeth, the food will be broken down into smaller particles. Then it goes through a pipe called as esophagus. Now, let's go back to the uh, types of muscles. I told you there are three types of muscles, right? Smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and skeletal muscles. Let's talk about smooth muscles. What did I tell you about smooth muscles? Do we have control over them? No. Why? Because the why do we call them involuntary muscles? Because we do not have control over them. So esophagus, as you can see, the pipe-like structure in our neck and in our chest, it is the pipe-like structure which takes food from our mouth and sends the food to the stomach. So what does esophagus do? Does it lie there like that? No. It basically becomes bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. So when it does this action, the food from our mouth reaches the stomach because of this action. How does this action take place? Because it has muscles inside its walls, right? And the muscles are smooth muscles. The smooth muscles are involuntary. So whenever we eat something, the brain sends signal to the esophagus that you need to contract right now. You need to move. So the esophagus becomes bigger and smaller, and that's how the food will go from our mouth to the stomach. In stomach, there will be mixture of chemicals, then many different types of glands. Glands are basically organs which secrete their hormones. So in the different parts of the digestive system, different types of hormones will be secreted. So your food will mix with different types of chemical substances which will help in digestion. In the large and the small intestine, the water will be absorbed. So whatever water you drink, it will be absorbed in the large intestine. So in the end of it, after the food passes from the large intestine, it reaches the anus, and anus, the next morning we will excrete out our waste products. So this is basically the digestive system. What does the digestive system help us in do? It helps us in eating food. Food will give us energy, and the excretion, that is formation of end product of food. So this is the digestive system. Let's go ahead. This is the urinary system. Urinary system also I will speak very roughly. Can you see two kidneys, the left kidney and right kidney? What are they receiving? They are receiving impure blood. You know, our heart gives out two types of pipes, right? The red colored pipe and blue colored pipe. What does the blue colored pipe do and the red colored pipe do? The red colored pipe takes oxygenated blood. So the heart sends out two pipes to the kidneys, left and the right one. Then the pure blood is taken by the kidney. What does the kidney do? It checks if our blood has any waste material. So it takes out all the waste material inside it, and then it sends the blood back to the blue pipe. Now the waste material which is taken out by our kidney, it is usually urea, nitrogen products, all such chemical substances which you will not recognize right now, but urea, nitrogen products, creatine, phosphate, all such waste materials are taken by the kidney, and they are given by a small pipe to the bladder. Can you see two small white colored pipes going down and joining in an organ called as bladder, right? So what do the kidneys do? The kidneys mix waste products collected from the blood in water. That is, they filter the blood, and then they form the urine, and the urine is the waste fluid which goes to the bladder. Then the bladder sends out the urine. Whenever the bladder gets filled with more than 400 milliliters, bladder sends signal to the brain that we need to go to the washroom right now. So bladder stores the urine. After it gets filled, it sends a signal to the brain that we need to go to the urinal, and then we excrete out. So what does urinary system do? It filters the blood. It takes out the waste products and it throws out the waste products via the urethra. Let's go ahead. This was the urinary system. This is a rough diagram of the urinary system. What is the urinary system? It is an example of organ system, right? What organs is made up of? It is made up of kidney. Can you see the two pipes called ureter? Then the urinary bladder, and then the urethra. So these are the different organs which are working together with each other and performing a single function. This is the urinary system. Let's go ahead. The last system to be discussed is the female reproductive system. The female and male reproductive system are completely different, because what is the function of female reproductive system? One second, I will put my laptop for charging. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. What is the female reproductive system? The female reproductive system is made up of various organs: the uterus, called as the fallopian tubes, and the ovary. So the function, what does a female do after her marriage? She bears the child, right? The uterus is the organ in which the child will be grown, and the ovaries which produce sperms. Ovaries are also part of the endocrine system. So students, let's notice here that there are few organs which are not just part of a single system, such as the endocrine, but also a part of the reproductive system. Such example is the ovary. Because why? Ovary is producing cells, the sex cells, which will join with the male sex cells. So it is a part of reproductive system, as well as it is producing hormones called as estrogen and progesterone. So it is a part of endocrine system, right? So this is the female reproductive system. Let's go ahead. This is a rough diagram from outside. If you see the projection of female reproductive system, as you can see, it consists of the uterus, the small organ in the center. Then there are uterine tubes. These are two pipe-like structures which join to the ovary. Then there is vagina, and whatever is visible from the outside is called as the external genitalia. And also the mammary glands becomes the reproductive organ once the child is being born, right? So these are the different female reproductive organs. Let's go ahead to the male. So the male reproductive organs are completely different from the female. What is the function of male reproductive organs? The penis, as you can see, it is a pipe-like structure. What is it made up of? It is made up of smooth muscles, right? Now, the bladder, which we know, which we studied in urinary system, it contains or it stores our urine, right? The waste material mixed with the water, it is called the urine. So the bladder, whenever the bladder gets filled more than its limit, it sends the urine through the penis. So the penis is an organ of both organ systems, the reproductive organ system as well as the urinary system. It has below it two structures, small structures called as the testes. What is the function of testes? Just like the ovaries, what do they do in female reproductive system? The same function is in the male reproductive system. What do they do? They produce hormones called as the testosterone, and also they produce the male sex cells called as the spermatogonium or the sperm cells, right? And it has various other organs as well. Let's go below to the next slide. So the projection of the organs of male reproductive system, as we can see, it has many organs. I will try to show you. In the center is the penis. From the penis, it is connected to the testis with the help of ductus deferens. What is ductus deferens? It is like a pipe which connects the testis to the penis. So the testis forms the sperm cells, or the male sex cells, and it sends by this pipe to the penis. So penis performs two functions. It is also acting as the urethra of urinary system, that is the throwing out of urine from our body, and also as the reproductive system during the mating period. So this is a summary of reproductive system. Now I would like to go to the very beginning slide to summarize everything. I think it is third or fourth or fifth slide from the above. Organization system. Let's go below, sir. Levels of organization. Below. Yes, this. Yeah. So what did we discuss today, students? We discussed that there are different types of. Now we will go in the reverse order. Can you see the man standing in the center, right? What is a man? Basically, it is an organism. What does an organism mean? Organism means an animal. Now, just like a mosquito, just like a camel, just like a giraffe, just like any other animal, these are different organisms. Similarly, human or the man is also an organism. What is organism made up of? An organism is made up of many types of organ systems. How many organ systems did we study today? We studied 11 organ systems. And each organ system is made of different organs. And every organ system is made up of different types of tissues. So this is how different levels of organizations will help in forming the entire human organ, and the study of the entire human body is called as the anatomy. So I tried to give you a very basic knowledge, kind of introduction to the human anatomy. I think you might have learned at least 5% of what I taught you, and I hope that you will find this subject interesting. And let's go ahead with our session.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Manish. You have taken the complete session with a thorough and detailed explanation. Before we conclude the session, I would like to inform all our participants that the feedback link and the counseling form link is now available in the chat box. Please, you can click on that and you can fill up a feedback link. Uh, and At Sayok College of Management Studies, we provide various paramedical courses, and these paramedical courses are all for the 10th standard students. So if there is any 10th standard student who is attending this particular webinar, you can take a benefit of these courses. As you can see on your screen, there is a DMLT, which is a 2-year course, and the opportunity is in the lab technician. You can also opt for a OT, that is Operation Theatre Technician, which is a 1-year diploma, 1-year course. There is a certificate course in nursing care, which is also a 10th based course. So you can opt for these courses. Those who are 10th standard, there is no entrance examination. Only based on your 10th results, you only need to be 10th pass for doing these courses. So for any further information, you can visit our website, that is www.sahyogcollege.com. You can also visit our page on Instagram, Facebook, and you can subscribe our channel on YouTube. At Sahyog College of Management Studies, we thank you to all the participants for first of all having patience in the beginning and then going through this particular webinar. And I would also like to thank our webinar team for organizing such beautiful webinars continuously. Big thank you to our management, our President Dr. Mahesh Patil and Principal Dr. Neeta Patil for encouraging us for organizing this webinar.